I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When it comes to creating a product, when it comes to creating a service, when it comes to selling that product and service, what we are doing, friends, is we are selling the transformation. We are not selling the features.
Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, and today I want to talk about another block that might be preventing you from growing your business. And, I get people all the time that want me to give them some really great advice, and I can because I know how to build businesses, right? And because I'm a business strategist, I can see pieces of the puzzle and I can put them all together and I can show you how you can make money. Like, I love doing that. In fact, finding ways to make money is like a fun, secret, passion of mine, right? But I really struggle when people come to me and they're like, Lachelle, just give me the strategy. Because what I find is that oftentimes it doesn't matter if the strategy is gold, right? That has been proven over and over again, that people sometimes struggle with the execution of the strategy. And I saw this a lot when I did my social media course, several years ago. I started that, create a year's worth of content in a weekend. And I would give people the exact copy that I helped them write. So it's authentic to them and their voice. And I would have somebody else create the graphics for them in their brand colors. And I would have somebody from my team schedule their posts for them. And they still struggled. Why? Because there's a mindset block underneath it that prevents us from execution. And for these women, particularly in this situation, it was like perfectionism. They were caught just staring at their words, trying to piece together and manipulate and move things around just perfectly, that it would take them 5 hours to do one post. Well, no wonder that they were struggling, right? Or they didn't want their picture in it because they had their own issues with being in front of the camera. Or maybe they just ultimately say they wanted to be on social media, but deep down they're afraid to be seen and heard and judged, right? And so whatever the case may be, what I do is I love discovering not only, what strategies will work for you because they're divinely led for you, but that we discover any blocks that are in the way of you executing the strategy that God has given you. And that every single person that I work with gets their own customized experience based on the next steps God is giving them. And I teach them how to discern that. But more importantly, where are the toxic thoughts that need to be shifted behind the scenes that are preventing them from executing their God-given plan and aligned strategy, right? So anyway, so I was thinking about this the other day and thinking about some of the blocks that I know not only see in other people, but the things that I've experienced myself. This really interesting one came up, and I'm going to ask you this because a lot of the people that come to me, you guys, are people who have already hired coaches. They've already hired strategists to help them with social media. They've already had people help them with X, Y, or Z, and they didn't get the results. And so they struggle with, hiring another coach because they've been burned. And what I'm able to help them see is that it wasn't the strategy that was necessarily wrong, but it was maybe not the right strategy for them, or there were some mindset things in the background that were blocking them from executing that strategy well. And so once we fix those things, once we fix the underlying mindset blocks, and I teach them how to discover their aligned strategy, things start to shift. But that being said, I still have to overcome the greatest barrier, which is I've been burned before. I've invested money and it didn't work. And people oftentimes will get caught up in a couple of different camps with this. One being that person sucked and they took my money. And the other being I must suck. And why would I invest any more money on myself because I suck? And so those are the things that I see a lot, where we either blame somebody else or we blame ourselves, and there's all this blame going around. And what I want to do is acknowledge maybe one of your butts, one of the blind spots or the barriers that have been holding you back from being really, really good at sales specifically, how to identify it. And then now we can shift it, but we can't fix it until we identify it, right? So going to the heart of all of you out there that are listening who have had a program that you have purchased and it didn't pan out the way you thought it was gonna, and you were like hesitant to do anything from that point on, this one's for you. All right. So one of the things that I had discovered a couple of years ago, and this is like, it's crazy vulnerable, but I'm kind of curious if you think about it, if you can relate to this. I had myself participated in several different programs, and some of them amazing and some of them didn't quite pan out the way that I expected them to, right? And there are two examples that I have in my mind, possibly even three, where somebody was an excellent, excellent marketer. Their social media game was on point, and the way that they expressed themselves was so amazing, and the words that they used were phenomenal, and the sales call was like straight out of the textbooks, right? Like so good. And then I got into the actual program and I'm like, what the heck? Like this is not this is not what I thought I was getting. And I am not really seeing the results that I was promised. And I just, feel like maybe a fool. Like, or what's wrong with me that I can't make this happen? Like everybody else in the program seems to be killing it. Like, what's the matter with me? And so I've been there, right? And what I developed in that moment was a sneaky little subconscious block that told me that I did not want to be somebody that was really good at marketing and sales because I don't want to accidentally sell somebody something that wasn't as good as they thought it was going to be. And instead of taking, and I know this is going to sound crazy for some of you guys, but sometimes our blocks don't sound rational, but this was mine. And so it was like, rather than identifying the fact that I can make my program amazing and I could be really good at marketing and selling it, it was almost just like I was just continue to pour into making my program so good. And every time that I would start to get really good at marketing or really good at sales, I would like pull back a little bit. Because deep down, I'm like, well, what if I'm like that? What if I think that my program is this great, but other people don't find it that way? And what if I am the one that's selling something that's not as good? And so I would keep pouring into making my program better, which is what I should do, right? But I would pull back the brake or push the brakes on really marketing it well and sharing it and being bold with it, and then crushing my sales calls. And there was a part of me that was just like, I just was really careful about what I said and wanting to make sure that I didn't overpromise and underdeliver. And it was like this, like, again, if I could give you a visual of like the gas and the brakes, right? And it's like over here, I felt like I could, control creating a program that I knew was going to give transformation. But I put the brakes on like promoting it because what if other people don't see it as good as I was? And I was honestly afraid of selling a shitty product. And I wanted to share with you guys that there are two main blocks that I see when it comes to this particular situation, that if you can relate to this, like having that awareness of it is going to help us shift it, right? Is that if I'm good at sales and marketing and selling something, then I might be overselling something and overpromising, underdelivering. So if I'm good at sales and marketing, I might sell something that's not worth it. And that was scary to me. So then I would pull back, right? The second block that I see when it comes to this is that we get caught up then in the perfectionism. So we get caught up in, well, if I'm going to sell it and I'm going to market it over here, then I better make this amazing over here. And because I'm so focused on this piece over here of it being amazing, then I get caught up in loops of perfectionism and waiting and waiting and waiting. I am going to add another certification, and then I'm going to create these modules, and then I'm going to actually start my program and I'm going to start selling it, right? And we don't necessarily worry about the marketing, the sales part of it. We worry that we're not creating something good enough over here to market and sales. And so really what I'm talking about here is this imbalance between the product and selling the product, and really allowing both of them to rise together, right? And so people will focus so much on creating this perfect product that they never actually end up executing it fully. It's always like picking a scab. Like I'm going to add this extra thing. I'm going to do this extra thing. I'm going to add this extra bonus. I'm going to get this extra certification. Maybe if I read these extra books and listen to these podcasts, then I'll feel qualified to be able to do this and to sell this the way I want to. And so that's a block that I see a lot, is that people don't trust that they're giving them their product, or they don't trust their product is giving an amazing value. And the other thing that I see in alignment with this, because it is a belief in ourself, or lack of belief and lack of confidence, I see people creating products that actually end up doing more harm than good, because they end up throwing everything plus the kitchen sink into it. And we're like, okay, well, I'm going to add this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece. And now all of a sudden they've created such a monster that people are like, they get into their program and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what end is up. Like I got it, this and this and this and this. And we add so much fluff that we create distraction and prevent the actual transformation that we're trying to have. And so one of the things that I'm going to attribute to one of my coaches I've had over the years, Terry, who encouraged me to always create an MVP, minimum viable product, meaning that what are the fewest steps that I need to take somebody through to get the biggest transformation, and strip it down to what is the simplest way to get people the transformation. And that is what your dream product is. And when you try to shove all these other things onto your services and your product, is when you dilute the message, you make it too cumbersome, too complicated, and then it actually prevents people from having the transformation. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When it comes to creating a product, when it comes to creating a service, when it comes to selling that product and service, what we are doing, friends, is we are selling the transformation. We are not selling the features. And so what I want you to do is think about, what is the problem that you are solving? What is the transformation that you help the person get from point A to point B? And then your service and your product is the minimum a number of steps that it takes to get from here to here. And I could have a whole nother episode on exactly what this could look like, because when you consider your MVP, your minimum viable product, that doesn't mean that there aren't extra things that you can add to it. But maybe those are like I explain this to my clients a lot. It's like, maybe you equate your services to college English, right? And so I had English 1 and English 2. So maybe you sell English 1 and you give them the basic foundational transformation. And then you allow them to self-select themselves into English 2. And you give them the next step in the process. But if you try to create all of these things because you're afraid that you're not worth what you're charging, you're actually creating something that is going to deter them from having the transformation that you're trying to have, right? And what I'm trying to do, friends, is help you understand that it's this beautiful balance between creating the product that's going to create the transformation, marketing and selling it so that you actually can monetize that. And then the third block that I see as the piece of this is that we're afraid to raise our prices. And when I help people who are wanting to get off the hamster wheel, that they're wanting to create more sustainable income, they want those sustainable 5-figure months without working 24/7 and without overwhelming. Guess what, friends? That is going to require you to price your content appropriately. And I think that so many times, because we've been burned by people overpromising and underdelivering, and we're afraid that that's going to be us, that we don't price our products appropriately. We undervalue them. And when we undervalue them, people don't value them. Like, I am going to be the first one to admit that I would rather drive a Porsche than a Ford Focus. Why? Because I want the luxury of it. And so when you expect that, when people see discount, when the people see low price point, they might equate it subconsciously to low value, low transformation. And you see how what I'm trying to help you understand is that all three of these things go together really well, but you have to acknowledge all three of them. And so if you're burnt out because you're constantly underpricing or you're giving away your stuff for free because you're afraid that people aren't going to get the transformation, and then you're not marketing because you're afraid that they're not going to get the transformation. Do you see how this is like a spiral down that you're getting stuck in? And it's no wonder you keep searching for shiny objects. It's no wonder you keep trying to take another course, another class to try to perfect your stuff and add on more things that they can do. And then you're afraid to raise their prices. And it's all just this big gobbled up goo of overworking and not seeing a result. And then you're like, why the heck is this happening? And it all stems from these mindset blocks underneath that you are going to under deliver what you've promised. Okay. So we have to be able to really look at the transformation that we've given somebody. And we say, all right, what is the problem? What is the transformation that they want to have that we know we can confidently give them? And how do we personally do that? And then when we think about the transformation, what is that transformation worth? Right? If I'm able to stay home with my kids and homeschool them versus sending them to a school in our area that I don't love, that transformation is worth a lot, right? If my son is finally confident enough to ask a girl out because he doesn't have acne anymore, like that transformation is worth this amount. Does that make sense? And so thinking about what is a transformation worth, and then making sure that you're doing your market analysis and looking around and saying, what are other people in the industry charging for this? Right? And then lastly, and this is something that we do very uniquely inside of Spiral Up, is I ask you to ask God. Because when you can consult your highest self, when you consult source, you can actually price yourself out appropriately. Because what I do is I say, I take the download, like we get into quiet and we ask for guidance. And I'm like, okay, well, this is what I'm feeling. Now I'm going to validate that with, God, should I charge this? Yes or no? And then we validate it with the tools that I give people. And so they'll be like, okay, no. All right. So then I'm like, well, is it more than that? Yes. Okay. Is it this? No. Is it this? Yes. All right. So now I know that spirit is helping me to price this appropriately. So now I have to ask myself, well, what in the hell is getting in my way up here mentally that's preventing me from following through with divine inspired action? But we have to be able to be able to charge what we need to charge. And I think that it's, again, this fear that what we're offering isn't going to be good enough to justify what we're charging. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of things that I want you to consider when we think about this. And again, these are complicated topics sometimes because it's very multi-layered, and I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. But I'm going to start out with just the realization, friends, that I cannot guarantee anybody's transformation. What I can do is I know that when I have taken a process that I have personally gone through and I've helped other people over and over and over and over again see the same results, that helps me to feel more confident. This is why when you're just starting out, having some pro bono work so that you can build your confidence, knowing that you're helping people with transformation. That's where I would start, is to do pro bono and get them to experience results so that you can believe in your results. And then perhaps you start something out a lower price point for a foundational beta testing price, right? Again, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to not overprice for what it is that you're delivering. And it not only helps you get testimonies and proof for them, but proof for you that you're worth what you're offering. But at the end of the day, I can tell people what to do and I can't make them do it. I can make sure that I self-select the right people, the right fits. I make sure that I have a verbal and in written agreement that they're willing to do what I ask them to do. I can do everything that I can to help them to be successful. In fact, in my Spiral Up program, I have a guarantee. And if the people in my program are willing to fill out a weekly accountability form that identifies what they're doing and that they're following my directions, that if we still haven't gotten the results by the end of that 12 months, then I will continue to work with them because they're showing me what they're doing. And that helps me also feel like, okay, I am able to deliver because we're going to figure this out. If the things that I've told you to do aren't working, then we're going to figure it out. And I feel like that's a way for me to know that I'm not selling something that's not performing as well. So that's something that you can try. But when it comes to the exchange, and you've proven to yourself that you know what the hell you're talking about, and you know that you've gotten results for other people, and you are doing all the things, you still are not responsible for somebody else. You are responsible to others, and you are responsible for yourself. I am 100% responsible for me and the results that I get. I'm responsible to you to give you the tools, to give you the support, to give you the guidance. But what you do with that is 100% your responsibility. And the moment that you stop taking responsibility for other people and you start to take responsibility for what it is that you're responsible for and allow them to have ownership over that, the dynamic, the codependency is split, and you are able to step into your power and allow them to step into theirs. But the moment that you're trying to take responsibility for their success, you're actually robbing them of the transformation that they need to prove to themselves that they are capable of following your direction and getting the results. Okay. Now, we also want to acknowledge the fact that, like, there was one particular program that I was in, and it was a really big investment. And I would say that I wasn't like blown away at the content once I got inside. And I wouldn't say that it was like the program's curriculum or the time with the people that were leading it that was the major transformation for me. You know what it was? Honestly, it was the fact that I spent the money. And it was a huge investment for me at the time. Like, I ended up taking out, you guys, legit, like, as a former Dave Ramsey financial peace coordinator, like, this was a big step for me. I took out 2 business credit cards to cover this. And they were both interest free for 18 months. So I had to tell myself, all right, Lachelle, put your big girl panties on. You are no longer playing small. You have these credit cards are due. So you better start treating yourself seriously and your business seriously. And that investment and the fact that I had to pay that investment was honestly more transformational than anything else, because I stopped giving myself the out. I stopped trying, like Yoda, like, do not try, just do. Like, I stopped trying. I stopped playing small. I stopped making excuses, and I started to freaking show up like a boss. And guess what happens when you show up like a boss? You start to get results. And so I want you to remember that when people are investing in you and what you do, sometimes it's not even you that's getting them the result. It's actually the process of which the investment is happening that is getting them the results. Like, sorry, not sorry, but sometimes it's not about you, boo. Like, it's really just that you are a part of their journey. And because you showed up in the exact spot where you needed to be, they had the result that they did. And so I want you to remember that you can't control what people do with what you give them. And sometimes we get to just be amazed at how we become part of the blessing. Now, I've had other situations where it was like that big investment again, where it wasn't even, again, just the teaching and the curriculum and all the things. It was the fact that I was surrounded now with a new level of people that were also investing a lot of money to be a part of this. And now all of a sudden my inner circle was filled with other boss babes who were like taking themselves seriously and taking their business seriously and moving and shaking. And the collaboration, the friendships that I had with this caliber of women is also a giant factor in my success. Again, not trying to take anything away from you or what you're doing, but sometimes the price point that you're at and the people that you attract are going to be the blessing for the people who join your circle because they get to know each other. And so remember that there are going to be things that you can't predict, things that you can't control that are going to actually be the transformative factor in other people's lives. Now, when I think about, there was another situation that I've been in the last, I don't know, year or two, where I, came into this agreement. I signed a contract, and it wasn't until after I signed the contract that I got inside and realized the things that I was promised verbally and on the website were not being delivered. And it's like, oh shit, like this sucks, right? And kind of feeling like there again, great sales, great marketing. Here, what the hell is this, right? And I just got to say that you have to believe, friends, that everything is perfectly perfect. And that if that has happened to you, like, don't let it scorn you. Don't let it be like, that's the reason I'm not investing in coaching again, or that's the reason that I'm going to continue to get myself sucked into this perfectionism loop where I'm never going to launch anything until it's perfect, or this is the reason why I'm not going to raise my prices. Like, do not allow that other person to have that power over you. What can you do from where you are right now, from an empowered place, and acknowledge, like, this happened. This happened. It sucks that this has happened. I wish that this hadn't happened, but here it is. It just is. So what could I do from here as a neutral place and then move myself into empowerment? And I was able to recognize the fact that, all right, awesome. Thank you for teaching me to really, really read contracts and recognize that this contract particularly had everything to do with what I owed her, but nothing to do with what she owed me. Okay, awesome. Check. I'm learning to read contracts more. I'm learning that perhaps even though I think I can trust somebody, maybe I need to just do a little bit more digging, right? This was also what sparked my willingness to create my guarantee inside my program, because I wanted people to have accountability, and I wanted them to know that I also have accountability for their success. And so I'm thankful for this experience because it allowed this really cool new feature to my program that I've instituted because of that. I also feel like because once I got into her program, I didn't feel like it was doing what it had promised. It gives me this drive. Like, I want to be the standout. I want my stuff to not get too fluffy, like I mentioned before, but I want it to be on point. I want them to feel like, oh my gosh, Lachelle, like, you gave me more than what I thought I was going to get. And not from a scarcity, I need to prove myself place, but from a level of excellence place. Like, you know that there's a difference energetically, right? Like, you can feel it, right? And so that's what I want to encourage all of you guys to do, is say, like, okay, well, like, what can I do to really make myself be the center of excellence here? Because I love these people so much that I want them to just get my very best. I really do. I want you guys to recognize that there are going to be things that happen to you in business. There are going to be times where somebody sells you something that didn't quite pan out. There are going to be times where maybe you get to dig in a little bit and recognize, like, holy shit, it wasn't the strategy. It was that I was too afraid to execute it. Right? That this person gave me everything that I needed and I still couldn't do it because I was still stuck in my own fears. And I want you to recognize that you can take these experiences and you can choose to become a victim to them, and you can choose to allow them to be excuses to why you don't push yourself or to why you do what you do. Or you could take this as an opportunity to say, I'm really glad that happened to me. I'm really glad that I listened to this podcast, and holy crap, you're right. I actually am a little bit afraid to be really good at sales and marketing because I'm afraid I'm going to overpromise and underdeliver. And I am going to shift that, and I'm going to control what I can control. And I'm going to be the best in the industry about this. And let's go. Let's do this. Right. And so I'm going to tell you that you get to control that. You get to control how good you are at sales and marketing. You get to control how good your product is. You get to control the prices that you offer. And then you get to show up in your very best, and knowing that you're serving people at your very best, and you're releasing the control of what happens after that, but you're doing it with your best intention, being responsible for yourself and to others, and allowing other people to be responsible for themselves. And so if you've ever been burned, if you've ever had like, oh my gosh, like, I'm never doing this again, I want you to just like check this and be like, all right, am I going to let this ruin me? Am I going to let myself stay in the blame game and victim cycle? Or am I going to say, all right, dust myself off. Like, what can I learn from this? Let's go. And I'm going to encourage you to do that. Now, if you're struggling a little bit with this and you're like, Lachelle, I definitely do think that I have been burned, and I feel like it has really gotten me to wonder if I am cut out for this. It has caused me to not trust people that could actually help me. I'm going to encourage you to book a a 5-figure month strategy call with me. And I'm going to teach you in that process, or not teach you, I'm going to give you clarity, I guess, on what has been holding you back and what you can do about it. And we can decide together if creating from a place of wholeness, and using the flow state money method, which is exactly what I do for all my clients, which is why I help them get success when they've tried other things, is because it's not just a strategy that we're doing. I'm helping you to determine from God's guidance what you should do next. That's why nobody is ever going to get a cookie cutter strategy from me. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to force you to have to look inside of yourself. But if you're ready for that and finally ready to get strategies to work for you, this might be the next best step. Because in our process in Spiral Up, what we do is we help you to discern what is your next best strategy. How much should you be charging? Who should you be talking to? And then we figure out where are the resistance points that are preventing you from executing that. And then giving you the tools and support to create the next steps with ease and flow and joy, because we figure out automation and delegation and optimization, all that other fancy Asians. But it really comes down to the discernment piece and the shifting toxic thoughts that have been the problem. And that is why I'm passionate about what I do. And that's why I know that people get results when other people haven't. And you can too. So I love you. Don't give up on yourself. And I promise you that I get it because I've been there too. So I'll see you guys next time.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.